That's the other thing. So at the end of the trailer, they do the like xylophone version of the Jurassic Park theme, which is cousin to the single note piano versions of these like sadder, like reflective versions of these amazing themes. Stop. Let's just, can we stop that? Can we stop that? Buffy is back. That's right. Jennifer Love Hewitt, you want to bring back I Know What You Did Last Summer without Sarah Michelle Gellar? Well, guess what? She's bringing back Buffy. You just got one-upped. We're going to talk about that and more. So welcome to Nerdy and Nice, everybody. We hope you had a wonderful weekend. For those of you who watched the Super Bowl, hope you had a great time. You just knew that was going to happen. You know, Lacey, just one of those games. You just knew that it was going to go down that way.
Just a lot of sportsing going on. I loved the buffalo dip I had, though.
Yeah, was it good?
Love me some buffalo chicken dip. What?
Where'd you get it?
Costco.
Oh, all right. Very nice.
They got
Did you
some
have
good
anybody
dips at
judging
Costco.
you as you were picking out your buffalo dip?
No, but can I tell you that they, there's been a lot of stuff in the news about tariffs and the costs of food and stuff going up. So I preemptively was like, let me go to Costco first thing in the morning and get some eggs, etc., before things get crazy / going to the Super Bowl. And I'm having, I had my birthday party this past weekend with family. So I went to Costco, like thinking it opened a half an hour after I arrived. It actually opened an hour later. So I sat in the parking lot for an hour at Costco. And by the way, I was one of like 100 people sitting there. And people went nuts about eggs. Like they ran to the egg department to get eggs and stuff. And I was like, this is crazy. I mean, I was doing work in my car while I was sitting there. So it's not like I was just like sitting there like pacing and like tapping my steering wheel. I was working on my phone, but there were people that were literally pacing up and down the sidewalk. But I got my buffalo dip, which is what I really wanted, and some other groceries. But Costco is coming hard. Coming hard. Like people at Costco like go really hard.
Oh, yes, they do. You know who else goes hard? McDonald's celebrating St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, we're moving on from the Super Bowl. I mean, hated both teams. Just
we already talked about stuff about the Super Bowl last week.
Awful matchup, just dreadful. But hope everyone had a delightful time. And if you liked the teams, then congrats. But the Shamrock Shake and its mascot returned to McDonald's. Now, Lacey, you sent this to me in where we like put our stories to go over. So I'm just going to ask you, are you a Shamrock Shake person? And who is Uncle O'Grimacy?
So I sent this to you because it's hilarious to me based on what happened last year. I don't know if you remember the Grimace Shake. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
How people went nuts about it and it became this internet trend that if you drank it, you died. And people got really creative with it, which, speaking of dying, our trailers this week like really got me. But we'll get to that a little bit. But anyway, with the Grimace Shake, they do the Shamrock Shake. And the mascot used to be Grimace's uncle, Uncle O'Grimacy from Ireland, who would come once a year to the US and bring his magical shake here. And I guess he was originally announced in like 1975 and they faded him out in 1978. And the history is I guess the guy that impersonated him or had something to do with the voice or something of O'Grimacy made some comments about how British people suck and like was like, go Ireland. And so Donald's was like, shh, just go to bed now. Shh. So they got rid of him, but they're bringing him back because Grimace had such a big viral moment last year that they were like, let's do it for the green one too. I am going to be honest. I don't think I've ever had a Shamrock Shake. I might have to get one just to try it because people talk about it. I might have to try it.
We'll have him on the show maybe. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, let's do that.
So Uncle O'Grimacy has been uncanceled, is what you're saying, and he is back.
He has been uncanceled. I also see that they have an Oreo version of the shake, which sounds delicious. Mint with chocolate. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite Girl Scout cookies, Thin Mints. Very good.
That's basically what it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So moving on from the high caloric content onto a winner of the first ever, this is going to go in the history books, the first ever Nerdy and Nice giveaway contest, hashtag Nerdy for Squid Game. Lacey, we have a winner. Who is it? And how did they win? And what are they winning?
Yeah, so Nerdy for Squid Game was our first contest here for the podcast. So thank you everybody that entered. We really appreciate it. The way you entered is you took a picture of your review of the podcast on your given app and then sent it to us with the hashtag Nerdy for Squid Game. You win the Squid Game red light, green light girl, and then a couple of these like mini prop ball things. Yeah, that they have with Netflix props, because we talk a lot about Netflix series stuff here on the show. They're really fun. John and I did an unboxing, which will make its way to Patreon soon. It was a lot of fun, but you got 2 of those as well. And our winner, the first ever winner of a Nerdy and Nice contest, is Terry Mack.
Terry.
Congratulations, Terry. We hope you enjoy your stuff. We will reach out soon to get some information to you to get those prizes your way. But yeah, that is it. And I think I'm ready, if you are, to get into some news.
Let's do it. Congrats, Terry. Thank you very much for the review. And please, everyone, keep those reviews coming because we need Nerdy and Nice to get on the map a little bit more. But yeah, Lacey, let's fire it up.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
So as John hinted at the top of the show, Buffy is back. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Sarah Michelle Gellar was on the red carpet. They were asking about her and Jennifer Love Hewitt, and I know what you did last summer. And she was like, my character's dead. Why would I come back? Then they brought up Buffy, and she was like, oh, I'd love to bring Buffy back. Well, it's actually happening. So Deadline was reporting that Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot is starring Sarah Michelle Gellar. It nears a Hulu pilot order with Chloe Zhao directing. Chloe Zhao is the one that recently did Eternals with Marvel and a couple other films. She's been pretty critically acclaimed director. So that's pretty exciting. I was kind of interested to see how they would handle this with Joss Whedon since he did the original series. But yeah, I'm on board. John, what are your thoughts?
I remember liking Buffy. I was a teenager at the time, so I think a lot of me and my friends had crushes on Sarah Michelle Gellar. Of course, Cruel Intentions. Like she was really big in the late 90s. This is interesting. I mean, I'll definitely check it out. I don't think I actually finished watching Buffy like after the whole like she killed Angel thing and then he came back. I was like, I'm done. I think I'm all set. And it's nothing against it. I just I think I went to college and I stopped watching Buffy. I think that's kind of what happened. But I like Sarah Michelle Gellar. It'd be interesting to see this. I'm not that super familiar with Chloe Zhao's work, but I guess the writing team did that show Poker Face, which had like acclaim all over the place. So they have good writers in place. So it'll be fun to see Buffy back. I'm curious who else they're gonna bring back and how they're gonna handle anyone they bring back that's a vampire with like aging and that sort of thing, like David Boreanaz. But needless to say, it's just one of those things you're just happy to sort of hear that's happening, and hopefully it's good. I do have Hulu, so I can check it out. We'll do reviews maybe of this on the podcast. But did it say any tentative release date or anything like that?
It didn't, because it hasn't even been ordered for a pilot yet. They're still working through the production stuff of the story, getting people locked into place, getting the director, which is Chloe, who's an Oscar winner, and then trying to figure out what the next steps are. If it goes into production, it will be the third of the franchise, which follows Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which started on WB, then moved to UPN 9. Remember that? Oh my God, that was such a big deal when it moved. which was 97 to 2001. And then it had a spinoff series, Angel, which was on the WB for 5 seasons from 99 to 2004, which was starring David Boreanaz, who then went on to do Bones, I believe, right after. But yeah, so I am just very excited for this series. I grew up with Buffy. Buffy was like my hero. So surprising no one, my big heroes growing up were Princess Leia and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So you can understand me as a person once you understand that those are the 2 women that I looked up to growing up. I wanted to fight people and take down bad guys and do it in a snarky way. Like that was like the dream for me. So yeah, I'm super pumped for this. I'm interested to see how they go about it. Because they did end it in such a way that they're like, oh, she saved the world again. The Hellmouth is closed. Sunnydale is gone because it gets sucked into like this big pit. And it's like her romantic love interest with a vampire ended because he died. Spoiler alert. And so the question is, where does she go from here? Does she end up having a family? Does she turn away from the whole I'm going to be a vampire slayer thing? Does her kid then become the vampire slayer because it's like a bloodline thing? And I'm also interested to see what other people get involved with the series, because a couple people from the series like Seth Green or Allison Hannigan have gone on to other things. And yeah, it would just be very interesting if they're starting fresh with kind of the like main kind of son of the universe being Buffy, and then they get all new people, or they bring in back a couple cameos here and there. What does that look like?
Gotta get Giles back, right?
Yeah, Giles. What's his name? Anthony. He was from he was actually on Ted Lasso.
Yeah, he was.
He was the evil husband owner
Yeah.
guy. He came in, he
Rupert
walked in the
Giles.
room and I was like, Giles? When he showed up in Ted Lasso, that was the first thing I thought. I even said that out loud. I was like, oh, it's Giles.
Yeah, Anthony Stewart Head.
Yeah, Anthony Stewart Head. Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
I'd love to see him back again, especially as like a mentor type father figure for her. And then Michelle Trachtenberg played her sister, so it's like, will she make her appearance again? Which again, I have some issues with Buffy that I'm like, Michelle Trachtenberg showed up and I was like, this is weird. I don't know.
I think that's when it was that post the whole Angel thing. So I think I checked out. But yeah, I was out probably the 97 to 2001 or whatever that was.
Well, we could totally have a deeper conversation about Buffy, because basically what happened is Buffy has died numerous times. And one of the big deaths she had was when they made that switch to UPN 9. She died on the WB. Then they brought her back again in UPN 9 as like coming back from heaven. And that was part of her trauma and storyline moving forward, is like, I was in a peaceful place after saving the world and you all brought me back through witchcraft, and now I'm back on Earth suffering again.
But she didn't come back as a vampire though, right? She's still a human?
No, she came back as a human, but they like took her soul from heaven and put it back in her body.
Man.
So now she like, I guess like the rules of the universe, like she's not allowed to go to heaven now because she's been taken out of it.
Oh, yeah, retcon that, whatever.
Yeah.
I think you might be right that, and this seems to be one of those themes that happen a lot when there's a big gap of time and things are revisited, but she's out of the game and something pulls her back in and she needs to learn how to do it again, sort of thing.
Yeah, but look, Sarah Michelle Gellar looks great.
She does.
She is fit AF. We've seen her do fight scenes and other things like Scooby-Doo. Like, she could do it.
Oh, yeah.
To get back into it.
Oh, yeah, I'm not doubting that at all. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Hopefully it comes to fruition and we could see what they bring to the table. And it looks like Joss Whedon not involved at all. Looks like
he is not involved at all. They have an all-woman team, which is exciting, that they're leading up like a female superhero type character with a full kind of production team of women.
I mean, I haven't seen Poker Face, but I know I may have to check it out because it has really like 98 on Rotten Tomatoes and a lot of all these claim of how good it is. So if those writers are doing Buffy, then they're in a good spot. And like you said, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, which I didn't see, won the Oscar. So they're set up. They're set up.
They are set up for success. Speaking of, I guess, kind of success, but at the same time, I was going to say, we're talking about how much I want to see this Buffy stuff. Talking about something I don't want to see. Our next story is dealing with the Beast games from Mr. Beast, who did kind of like I would say like a Squid Game reality show where he had people compete for money. They're wearing basically the same outfits as Squid Game. It was on Amazon Prime Video specifically. Um, I didn't know his name was Jimmy. So Jimmy Mr. Beast Donaldson made a splash in December with his Amazon Prime series Beast Games. But the story here is that while the show did cost more than $100 million to make and drew a lot of controversy, a lot of people still watched it. It got 50 million viewers in the first 25 days, becoming one of the second biggest debut of 2024 besides Fallout, the company said. With the success, they're looking into more stuff, specifically creator-driven stuff, and then it's also having other streaming people, like probably Disney, Netflix, etc., looking into doing these influencer-led content. They have a lot of interest into unscripted shows. And then Warner Brothers Discovery Max unveiled, of course they did, Warner Brother Discovery, unveiled Thursday of this past week that a reality series starring Jake and Logan Paul will be airing on the service, which why do people keep paying them is my first question. But my second question to you, John, is how do you feel about these creator-led shows? I know I've brought up stuff before with Netflix where you have the TikToker turned pop star turned actress Addison Rae, who's starring in these like 3-piece deal things at Netflix. When you have rest in peace, David Lynch can't get funding for his films. How are you feeling about Mr. Beast getting $100 million to make a reality show when you see actual creatives not getting that same support?
That's definitely the tough part. But then on the other side of the coin, it's like, you know, a lot of reality TV is like just trash, and whether it's Mr. Beast making it or it's Love Island, you know, whatever. It's all sort of like this like mindless, vapid stuff. I haven't seen the Beast games. I may check it out just to see what it's all about because it does look a lot like the Squid game show that they had. But it comes down to reality shows and game shows are so much cheaper to make than regular TV shows and movies. And we know the pressure that these streaming services are feeling, especially Disney Plus. So it's not a surprise at all that they're entering this to do this stuff. I do, as a defender of artists, and you know, we talked about AI recently, and we're going to talk about AI in a little bit here, but with our next story. But I do feel for creators because it does seem like it's getting harder and harder for them to make things they want to make that's original. And then you add this into the mix, and it's like, it's not so much these are replacing these things, but it's like more of these are going to pop up because they're cheap to make and a lot of people watch them. And that's the recipe, and that's what the executives want. That's what the shareholders want to see, and that's what it comes down to. I don't know if it's going to put a dent necessarily in, oh, we're not going to make this TV show now because you know, Mr. Beast wants to do his version of Wheel of Fortune or something. I don't know. But they're going to make more of this stuff, and what that means, I don't know. I don't like the term influencer because I don't know what that really means. And I think a lot of it just seems to be very clearly, I'm doing this thing to make money and get famous. And Mr. Beast has become the most successful at doing that, all the way down to like he smiles a certain way because he thinks the algorithms like it. It just feels just very manufactured and not art. And I know, like I said, we've always had these like just dumb reality shows, so it's not like, oh, this is replacing things, but it just makes sense that they're doing it, and it's unavoidable, so I can't get like all up in arms about it. I just hope that maybe the money that they make off of something like this allows them to make other real shows. So maybe put it that way.
It is interesting, though, that, you know, Ted Sarandos, the CEO of Netflix, did say, I do find that the short form services are also a great breeding ground for new storytellers. Like, I'm sorry, you're telling me that someone's making a rant video for 30 seconds on TikTok is one of the greatest storytellers of our time. So I'm not saying that's the case with everybody, but I just look at these kind of reactionary moments that people basically hate watch. Like the Logan Paul stuff, people hate watch that. The fight that they had on Netflix that saw 65 million households tune in, that then now they're getting a series on Warner Brothers Discovery Max. It's like, oh my gosh, it's too much. It is what it is. But at the same time, Netflix also signed on Miss Rachel to do a 4-episode season of her series for Netflix specifically, and hit up CoComelon, which is also something that originated on YouTube. So it's not surprising that they're dipping into these different platforms and avenues for content.
That's fine because like Miss Rachel just like did her thing and she worked hard and she built herself up, and I think that's awesome. I think that should be applauded. I think the same thing for Blippi. That guy, man,
Blippi.
What a job he did. And it's like those people worked for it. And Mr. Beast, you know, he did his thing too, but he pairs more with like the Haktua stuff in terms of like these people who are on TikTok and they get famous really quick. And it's like, then all of a sudden they're doing podcasts and it's like, you're getting these audiences like for these like really cheap and effortless and non-creative moments in time. And it's just, something's not right about that. So there's that part of it that just doesn't make me feel good. But I know it's unavoidable, and
yeah,
like I said,
guess
hopefully if Mr. Beast brings in a ton of money for Amazon, they make more cool shows, and same with Disney and Netflix, I guess.
Yeah, I guess my question stands with, what value does it add? At what point are you just making things to make things compared to something that adds some sort of value? So I would argue that a Miss Rachel or a Blippi adds value to children. They learn things. They have engaged a show with someone that will kind of teach them colors or things about wherever Blippi's going, or Miss Rachel's teaching children how to speak. That was her big thing. Her son had trouble developing speech. And when she went on YouTube looking for something to watch with her son, she didn't find anything. And she was a music teacher from New York City. So she discovered ways that helped her son progress that she wanted to share with everybody else. And it just went off from there. Yeah, I would just argue that I don't know what value Mr. Beast adds except brain rot. And like,
hey, if it's, you know, if people want to escape, maybe that's enough.
Yeah,
but
it is.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Speaking of value add, Marvel announced, which we'll talk about in the next segment, they put out their new trailer for Fantastic Four, and per usual, as Disney and Marvel usually do, they did post some posters with the trailer, being like, these are our new posters. And man, do they look like AI slop, as we call it. That it was made by AI, if not completely made by AI, then partially made by AI. And I laugh when people have the same reaction as me, because I saw this poster and went, what in the slop is this? It is so bad. And it is an insult to the artists and concept like people that work on these films. And then also the fact that Marvel comes from comics and you're not going to hire an artist to make the poster for you. And Disney comes from animation and you're not going to have an artist make it for you. It just seems like a slap in the face. So I'll kick off by saying that these posters are horrendous. Marvel and Disney should do better. They put up some lame statement saying this is not AI. It 100% is. There is no way that this is not AI. There are multiple instances of repeated faces throughout it. four-fingered people, some guy looking in a camera that doesn't even look like anything any human would do with a camera. It's just straight slop, as we call it, AI slop. And it just doesn't look good. And I don't understand the value when you know what these companies make and what these companies spend on these films and what they will end up making at the box office. You can pay an artist a couple $1,000s to draw you something real nice.
Oh,
Like,
I
come
know.
on, guys. What are we doing? What are we doing? And this is not the first time that Marvel's been caught using AI to make these types of things. They did intros with it. They've done other things with it. Like, I'm sorry, this is so lame. You want people to be a part of this fandom with Marvel and collect these posters and hang them on their wall, but you're not going to dedicate the time and care into making them? Like, it's such an FU to the fandom that I don't know what else is than to go from a Marvel comic book to this. What are we doing, Disney? What are we doing, Marvel? What are we doing, digital Marvel Disney people? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you choosing this over actual artists? You can't look at this film and go, "Hey, we're going to be dedicated and be true to the comic book and what these characters look like," and then give us this trash. And then you have on the other equation James Gunn staying true and then also staying true to what things look like, what they're using, artist creations, concept art, etc. It is just, oh my, it's insulting. It's insulting to not just being a fan, but the intelligence of the fandom, that you think that people wouldn't pick up on this guy having four fingers and this woman's face being literally aspect ratio wise like a foot from the same face.
Looking in the same exact direction.
Oh my God. Lazy, 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 lazy. And you make so much money and you didn't want to pay artists. You didn't want to pay actors. You didn't want to pay writers. And this is what you're giving us. Show me your value, Disney, because right now you're not. I'm being honest. This is so insulting. Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
My rant is over.
I mean, look at the posters I have behind me. I have the A New Hope poster. I have the classic Empire Strikes Back poster. I have the Paul Shipper Last Jedi poster, specifically because of how he made it. Like, it wasn't too long ago where the biggest complaint about movie posters was that the artists were doing Photoshop and like just putting all faces in it. And it was like there was still a human being doing it, and people were like annoyed.
Yeah.
People were annoyed about it. And now it's like, now humans aren't even doing it. So I agree with everything you said. So I'm not going to repeat all that. It just feels in bad faith. And, when you have the Drew Struzans and those types of people out there who just make these incredible pieces of art. I mean, the Phantom Menace poster, people know that poster, and it's just a beautiful piece of movie art. You're taking that part of the culture completely away. And I don't know how people feel about it. I'm sure people will still print this out in a 4K version and put it on their walls, and good for you,
everyone's
I guess.
mad about it. Everyone's mad about it. Nobody likes it.
Well, yeah, most people probably are, but there's still going to be these people like, well, whatever, those people who just like, well, whatever, just like deal with it. The deal with it people, I think this is crap. I agree. I'm glad they got caught. I think more people should call it out. It doesn't mean I'm not supporting the movie. I'm sure not everyone was behind making that call at all. So I think it's something they need to, more people need to speak out about, and it needs to be known that we as fans know, and it's not cool, and maybe they'll stop this shit, So
yeah, we're not stupid. Like, I'm looking at a screenshot that someone had prepared with all the different things, and he's, 1 to 9 things that are wrong with this. He's like, 3 fingers, dupe head, jacket is just a poncho with buttons. Like, it's not even a jacket. It has no seam in the front. The seam is gone. This person has a massive head. And then they have like, don't know what's going on here. And it's like 2 people that are just combined together. It's so insulting that we're taking something like art and then running it through AI. Like, you want to run your taxes through AI? Go for it. You want to do some type of technical, math equation of like, how do I budget properly for groceries? Go for it. But why are we having AI write things, create things, make things, create images? It's just,
I don't know.
it's so insulting. And it makes me annoyed because someone approved this. Not just someone, multiple people signed off on this, that it was
Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah.
said, go for it, and then sent it to their social teams. And no one on the social team said anything and said, yeah, we're good to go. Catchy writing. Haha, we're a team. Fantastic Four. Welcome to the family. What kind of family dupes their own family members and says, yeah, this is real when it's not? Like, what kind of family is that? Because my family wouldn't do that to me.
That's not a very good family, in my opinion.
It's, oh God, it's so terrible. I just like, even just sitting here talking, I'm getting more and more angry as I'm just staring at. There have been many people I've met in my career that are comic artists, writers. My sister is an artist, that I look at this and I'm like, you could have gotten a fully illustrated poster for a couple $1,000s that would support that person, support their family, activities, pay their bills, support a better life for that person. And you chose this instead. It's insulting. It is a bad look. And it's showing people that you don't care. You don't care. You are just there to make money. And guess what? When you don't care, people look for who does care. And guess who cares right now? James Gunn, the other studio that's taking the time to make things the right way.
Good point.
Just keep that in mind, Marvel.
Yeah, good point.
When someone has to choose that weekend, whether it's Superman or Fantastic Four, and you keep putting out slop like this, people are going to choose Superman.
Yeah, and watch, like, James Gunn's very aware of social media.
Yep.
Watch, he's like, puts out the new Superman poster, and he's like, I want to give a shout out to the great blank and whoever made it. Like, just really just show.
He's already done that though with the dog stuff, where he said this is inspired by this specific comic page, and puts up the comic page and shouts out the artist and shouts out the people that made that comic book. Marvel has lost its way in thinking that, oh, if we just throw Marvel in front of this and maybe throw in Robert Downey Jr. once in a while, people will show up. Well, guess what? People aren't. They're going to go somewhere else.
They better not start doing AI Star Wars posters, or I'm going to really lose my mind. Because Star Wars posters
I'll
are
take
a very
the
special
floating
thing,
heads.
so.
Yeah, I'll take the floating heads over whatever this was with this no name. You're not even going to put the characters on the poster. You're not going to put who's in it. Not even some type of hint, a prop, something.
And that's the thing. If you're using AI to make these people in this poster, like this isn't my imagination of what this older woman looks like, and I'm creating her. It's like, no, an algorithm made that woman off of other images, and it's not a human creation.
They fed images into this thing, making it.
It's a machine making what it thinks that human looks like, and it's Terminator. It's like early stages Terminator stuff, and I don't like it.
Yeah, and there were some arguments that people made, being like, well, maybe someone started it and then used AI to finish it, because one of the kind of new tools in the past year that Photoshop has rolled out, or AI has, Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator has rolled out, is the ability for AI to extend a picture or fill gaps or, change a texture or something like that. But even then, you're still using a machine to finish your image for you. So Marvel/Disney might be saying, well, this wasn't done by AI. This was done by a person. That person still cut some corners. And you signed off on cutting of those corners and then slopped it up online with "We are a family." So what does that stand for exactly? If you're saying family and then showing us this in the same tweet, flame on.
Yeah, let's hop out of news, I guess, and take a look at some of these trailers we have coming up in trailer time.
Oh God, I love that movie.
Lacey, we got some big ones, 2 big ones, and 2 not so big ones. But the first one we'll get into is Jurassic World Rebirth. Hitting theaters July 2nd. Talked about it earlier. Gareth Edwards. We have Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey leading the cast here. Famously turned down by Glenn Powell.
And Jennifer Lawrence.
And Jennifer Lawrence. But the trailer is out. We finally see some dinosaurs. First, I want to start doing this before we get into our thoughts on the trailers. Did you like this trailer?
Yeah, it was entertaining.
All right. So what do you think? What are your thoughts on the Jurassic World Rebirth trailer?
I thought it was entertaining. It was a fresh take on the series in the sense of they showed the dinosaurs. I was worried that they weren't going to show any dinosaurs for like the whole press marketing plan. They're going to be like, no, we're not going to show anything. But I think the acting is really good from Rupert Friend, from Jonathan Bailey, who also just came out of Wicked, so he's having quite a year so far.
Right.
And then Scarlett Johansson is playing the typical. Honestly, she's playing Black Widow again. It's literally Black Widow, just like army style, like the tough, snarky woman that's like got her arms crossed in the back, and like they basically took what you would assume would be these films, which is you have the dude that's the army person and the woman that's the doctor, and just flipped it.
Right.
So, I mean, it looks great. The special effects are incredible. ILM, of course, they're going to be good.
Yeah.
Like so good. The premise itself is like, okay, they need to go back and get the specific thing. You're like, okay, yeah, we've seen that before. But I like how they've shown some connections to the original series, but they're not overdoing it, it looks like. Now, the movie might be different. I'm saying just in the trailer, they're not leaning into the nostalgia so hard like they have, I feel like, in the other ones. Like with the Chris Pratt ones, they were very much like, hey, remember this thing? Remember how good this was? Remember these people that you know? Remember this happened? Whereas this is not doing that. They're saying, hey, remember that island? Yeah, we're going to a different part of it this time. That new monster is wild. Now, you and I both know that thing looks just like a Rancor, just a little smoother. A little smoother on the front, smoother on the legs, a little longer. But they said that it is inspired by a Rancor and a Xenomorph from Alien.
Yeah.
To me, that thing looks like literally it's a Rancor. Disney was like, hey, can we get a Rancor? And Lucasfilm was like, yeah, no problem. Got it. Dinosaur Rancor. You got it.
Yeah.
It's just missing kind of I would say like the Rancor kind of has this more of a snout punch out, and this one doesn't. It kind of connects a little bit more. And it doesn't look as big in the chest.
It looks a little like the Doomsday they made for Batman v Superman. It's like,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I mean, Google it, whatever, or don't. But just forget it. Save yourself a Google.
But don't.
It's just, it looks like it's something that melted, and it looks gnarly and but smoother, like you said, than a Rancor. But yeah, I don't know if you had any other thoughts before I got into mine, but
I think that from what they've said and what they show in this trailer, Gareth Edwards and team are really leaning into the horror aspect of Jurassic Park this time around. Less into the science fiction, more into like, you want to be scared? You're afraid you're going to get eaten? Cool. You're going to feel like you're going to get eaten in this one. Like numerous times people are dying. Lots of people are dying in this one. Specifically, I love the use of the red flares that we know of from other series or other films, and the way that it lights the dinosaur only slightly, so you only see a piece of it and you're like, oh my god, and then you realize, oh my god, it's much bigger than what it is. That kind of stuff. I hope they do more of that, like the show us, don't tell us, but then like lead us into what it actually is. Give us some teases before you hit us with whatever the dinosaur is. A lot of jump scares.
Right. Yeah, it's a good trailer. I think it's a good trailer. I think the special effects look incredible. The only thing that I'm hung up on, and it's not a comment on the trailer necessarily, But I think it's just very difficult to wow audiences with Jurassic Park today after what the original was able to achieve, which was we're showing you, we're bringing dinosaurs back to life. That was the draw of Jurassic Park, is what if we could bring dinosaurs back to life and see them? And that was the hook. And now it appears that that's not enough, at least in the eyes of the filmmakers. Now we have to create our own mutant species of dinosaurs because just dinosaurs aren't enough anymore. And I don't agree with that. I think if you made Jaws again today, it would still be terrifying if you made a good movie. The same way as if they sort of broke it down back to basics a bit and just made another horrifying story that involved a T-Rex and involved raptors still. Like, I don't necessarily agree with this whole the experimenting and what appears to be a two-headed raptor potentially. And it's also like there's a cruelty element there. Sort of like how certain breeds of dogs, when they're bred together, like it leads to health problems for the dog because they're not meant to be bred that way.
Like puggles and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, bulldogs, and I love bulldogs, but they, but just I wish that just they were able to tell us a story that where just dinosaurs that have existed before were enough. That's all. And I think that's where they're still losing me a bit. It's the same way with the retcons of the cloning of the daughter, and that's why he invested with John Hammond, this other partner that we didn't know about until years later. It's like, I just feel like they're trying to figure out ways to recreate the magic that the original had without doing what the original did. And I think you can still do that without trying to invent all these new mutant dinosaurs. It's not really for me, but it still looks like a really visually stunning movie. I know Scarlett Johansson will be good. Like you said, this Jonathan Bailey guy who I wasn't super familiar with, and he just like arrived on the scene in a big way. Oh, well, there you go. So all these things so Bridgerton and Wicked, no wonder.
He's Anthony Bridgerton. Yeah, he's the head of the Bridgerton household.
So me and 99% of other men out there probably don't know who this guy is, but
I knew who he was immediately. I was like, oh, Anthony Bridgerton.
Yeah, and so I'm interested to see what he's all about. And I may check it out, I may not. I'll go to the theater to see this if this gets like rave reviews and they're like, this is the best Jurassic Park since the original, and it's not just like people on Twitter saying that it's actual critics and people who I respect, like Dan Murrell and those types of people. So it's a good trailer. Special effects, ILM always going to crush it. It's like John Williams. It's just like always going to be good. But the mutant dinosaur thing is throwing me, and I don't know how other people feel about that. Our TRB poll, if our audience is any indication, we do a Patreon poll, and out of Superman, Fantastic Four, no movies, and Jurassic World Rebirth came in last with anticipated movie for July with only 3%, and that's our audience. So I am not rooting against it by any means, but I need to be sold again if I'm gonna pay my ticket to go see this movie, because they've fooled me a couple times now, and I gotta wait to hear that it's good.
There is a big question around the trailer and the movie in general that has been all over the internet, which is who the composer is. They haven't announced who the composer is for this series. Now, the original Jurassic Park's obviously John Williams. The newer ones were Michael Giacchino. So the question is, who's going to be the one now? There's been some rumors. People think it might be Michael again, but they haven't announced it yet of who is the composer of this series. So we'll be on the lookout for that.
That's the other thing. So at the end of the trailer, they do the like xylophone version of the Jurassic Park theme, which is cousin to the single note piano versions of these like sadder, like reflective versions of these amazing themes. Stop. Can we stop that? Can we stop that?
It also always goes dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
And then it says one line and it's like ding 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 ding.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just it's the formula, and it's just like, can we break it up a little and maybe hit me with the full John Williams at the end? Maybe, I don't know. That's a nitpick of mine, because every trailer of a Legacy sequel seems to do that now. But we'll see. We'll see. Now we move on to which we just slammed for the AI posters, as they should have been, but the trailer of the Fantastic Four First Steps, directed by Matt Shakman. You got Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Ebon Moss-Bachrach rounding out the four. July 25th, in theaters, another July movie. Lacey, did you like
Same
this
weekend
trailer?
as Superman. They're calling it Super Fantastic.
Same month as Superman. 2 weeks
Oh,
after
month,
Superman.
sorry.
Yeah. So it goes this, Jurassic World, then 2 weeks Superman, sort of, and then 2 weeks after that, Fantastic Four. But Lacey, did you like this trailer?
I did like the trailer. I like the vibe it's going for with the 1960s mid-century modern look. Just like many people online have said, I don't want to take full credit for it, but I appreciate the way they have done the effects in this movie, especially with Sue Storm. They do like light refraction in her powers and less of like a warbly like force field.
Yeah.
They do like the rainbow colors and stuff, which is a nice touch. I love the music, which actually is Michael Giacchino. We just were talking about that. I think he said in an interview last summer, he was cautiously making sure it wasn't turning into The Incredibles, which he also did. He was like, I have to find a new sound that's not The Incredibles, but is still in the same vein of The Incredibles, because The Incredibles are obviously inspired by stories like this. I enjoy that they're leaning into the romance between Sue Storm and Mr. Fantastic of Pedro and Vanessa Kirby's character. I'm not sure about the whole, like, we're a family. We have dinner at 8. Like, I'm not sure how I like that. There's something creepy about it to me, but I think that's what they're going for.
The
'Cause they're
context
not
may
perfect.
be they're trying to convince somebody of a certain thing
That they're fine. I think after the spaceship issue
Yeah.
that they had, they're like, everybody's fine. We're here having dinner. Yeah. Okay. But it just comes across very creepy. But I'm interested to see where this goes with the Marvel universe. Obviously, this is much earlier than the Marvel movies that we know now in present day and in the 2000s, etc. I think it's a fresh take. I'm still a little sour from the AI slop we were discussing earlier, because given that the production of this film, from the set design, costume design, with the exception of Vanessa Kirby's hair, I still think that she should not have beach waves in 1960. I think that there's so much awesomeness here in the look and feel of this movie, from the music to the production design, everything. Why wouldn't you then follow that up into the poster? So I'm a little like, ugh. But overall, I like where they're going with this. I'm interested to see it. It's a good trailer.
Yeah. I think it's a good trailer too. I think they finally, third time's the charm, got the Fantastic Four right. And like, of course, Kevin Feige, he seems to always have his finger on the pulse and somehow get the right people to make the right things. And this looks like a movie I want to see. You know, we love Pedro Pascal. I love Ebon Moss-Bachrach from The Bear, and of course Andor, and Joseph
Did you
Quinn.
laugh that
I
he
think
was
everybody
cooking?
loves. Yeah. He was cooking, and I think the thing looks really cool. Like the facial movements, it looks like really good. And I know, like, the original movie they did was 20 years ago, and that still looked decent, but this looks like really cool. Looks like to be a nod to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I agree with. I saw other people online saying that when Raphael wears the trench coat and the hat, we see the Thing doing the same thing. It feels like it's a comic book movie come to life. It feels a little bit like James Gunn's Superman in terms of like there is a lot of vibrant colors to it. It has a little bit of a throwback. Obviously, this actually does take place before the moon race and all that. So all aspects of this look really good, and I love Michael Giacchino. He's one of my favorite composers. So if he's making the music for this, you know it's going to pack a big punch in spectacle and heart and all of that. Like you just listen to any of his scores and emotions, all palette of emotions run across his scores. And also the fact that he made a theme for the Batman, which you're talking about following up what Danny Elfman did for Batman. That's hard to do that. And he's making a new theme clearly for the Fantastic Four. And also nothing against any movies that have come since Endgame or anything like that. This feels like sort of a new launching point for the next big era in Marvel. And the fact that Kevin Feige had the confidence to sort of put his chips in the basket for Fantastic Four, which is 0 for 2 in theatrical attempts. That's a bold risk, and it looks like it may have paid off. So I think this is a very good trailer. I'm very interested in the movie, and I'm excited to see it when it comes out. But stop doing the damn AI posters.
I do appreciate their play with the aspect ratio of the screen, where it goes from 4:3, like the curved screen of an old TV, and then into the wide
pans
screen.
out. That was cool.
I do like that. Yeah.
That was very good. Yeah, it's a really good trailer, and it's has a lot to it. It makes me want to check out this new adventure. But we do have 2 more. Probably spend a little less time on these 2, unless you disagree. But Final Destination Bloodlines. I haven't seen all of these movies, so I'll just quickly give my thoughts first, because I think you recorded your reaction to it. But I think the last one I saw is where it starts at a NASCAR race and then everyone dies in the stadium or something like that. But they were fun, like to watch when I was younger, my 20s maybe. But now I don't see myself ever like running out to theaters to see a Final Destination movie, so that's not happening. I actually didn't like this trailer because it didn't really show me anything new for Final Destination. And if that's what they're going for, they're just like, we're just giving you another romp. This isn't a new twist or anything. It feels tired, and it shouldn't, because when was the last Final Destination? It's been a long time, right? Like 10 years or something like that.
I think they just had one come out recently, which was supposed to be the prequel to the original.
I missed that one then entirely, so I don't know.
Like, because I was watching some kind of response to the series, and they said that, so spoiler alert if anybody's not seen it, the most recent one that came out, the whole time you're watching it and you're like, man, this is so messed up. And then you realize this is the person that kicked off the original one.
So it has one of those like end of movie payoffs that make the movie feel better
on the plane.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So they're trying to tie it all back together. I recorded my response to this trailer, watching it fresh. Maybe I'll put that online. We'll see. Maybe if you guys ask me enough. But my genuine disgust of this trailer, I have no intentions of ever watching this. It's terrifying. A lot of my fears, like driving on the highway behind a truck with logs in it, anything, is usually from these movies. These
Burning
movies are
alive.
Oh yeah, I brought it up before, but when I did my reaction, they do like the whole Rube Goldberg machine where one item hits another item, which hits another item, which then causes all the issues.
So is that like Pee Wee Herman's breakfast machine? Is that
Yes.
what Rube?
Rube Goldberg machine. It's a American cartoonist. Rube Goldberg is a chain reaction type machine or contraption intentionally designed to perform a certain task. So it's like when
Mousetrap. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Or like Wallace and Gromit, where he has them like make the eggs and stuff.
I never knew that was called that. That's interesting.
Yeah. You're welcome. I taught you something today. Doesn't it feel good?
Oh, so great.
Well, the next one I actually am interested in, which is Running Point.
Oh yeah, so Running Point, Mindy Kaling basketball comedy series starring Kate Hudson. Netflix. I don't know if it's debut or dump, but February 27th is when you could start watching that. So happy birthday to you, Lacey.
Thank you so much.
Running Point, what do you make of this? Was this a good trailer?
I want to hear
and
your response first.
Okay. I don't think I'm gonna watch this show. It feels like I already know the entire series and I know how this is gonna play out. The only charming aspect of this is that it's Kate Hudson taking over the family's sports team, and Goldie Hawn, her mother did a very similar thing with a movie in the 80s called Wildcats, which is she was like a high school coach, and then her dad owned a football team, so then she steps up to be the coach of the football team. So I like that she's following her mom's footsteps in that way. I think that's really adorable. I love Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. I think, you know, she has a great relationship with him as her stepfather. So all that stuff is feel good. Mindy Kaling is also very funny. She doesn't get enough credit for her writing on The Office, in my opinion. So I may check it out, but I don't know. I bet Kathleen might check it out, although she's not a big sports fan. But it just feels like a blueprint formulaic thing, and I know you like that stuff sometimes because it's like just a comfort feel good thing. So I'm just gonna turn it back over to you. I'll be happily surprised if it's good. Mindy Kaling is making me interested in seeing it, but I need to be convinced a bit more. So did you think it was a good trailer? And what do you think about this? Are you going to check it out? Are you interested? Where are you at?
I thought the trailer was great. I thought it was too long. They need to do less. They're telling
it was
too
pretty
much.
long. Yeah.
It was very long. I love Kate Hudson. This very much reminds me of How to Lose a Guy with 10 Days or any of the other, you know, rom-coms she's in. It's that kind of witty, snarky, I'm in charge woman character, but yet might find love along the way. I love the family aspect. It reminded me, I've never seen it, just I'm going based on clips and stuff that I've seen, but like Succession, where it's like a family drama where a bunch of people own something, they're really rich. Yeah, I just think this will poke fun at kind of like the sports world and especially owners of sports teams, which I like. And Kate Hudson's just so good at comedy. I'm glad to see her in something that's funny. I will definitely be watching the series. I can't wait.
Nice. Yeah. That's a good point about poking fun at the like billionaire familial owners and stuff. And it's good to see Kate Hudson in a rom-com where she's not playing like a magazine writer or something, you know?
I mean, she's still an executive, so yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll see. Maybe I'll check it out. You may have convinced me a little bit, but 4 trailers. Those are our thoughts on those, whether we liked them or not, and what do we think about the project themselves. But now it's time to check in with what we're watching.
We can never leave the house, and would just probably sit around all weekend and watch TV.
Go on.
This past week, I watched the Grammy Awards. Not like in the cast itself, but like updates online. I was watching it in real time from streams and stuff. It was a very entertaining show, and I just wanted to highlight that I was pumped about who won. Chappell Roan won for Best New Artist, who I adore. I think her album's amazing, from Hot to Go, Pink Pony Club, etc. What's the other one that she's really Good Luck Babe. Like those songs are on repeat at my house. My daughter loves Pink Pony Club. That's her new jam. So I'm really pumped for her. And of, you know, providing a living wage for artists and healthcare is important. So I appreciate that. The other real highlight for me, which I don't know if you saw this clip online, John, was Sabrina Carpenter's performance. It was
she like dropped the umbrella or something?
She had a baton and she drops the baton and then she's singing Espresso and she's going down the stairs and she goes below the stairs, like the stairs were too far. And then she like pops up. She like goes behind a bush and like changes outfit. Like it was so very whimsical, like 1960s, 1950s, cutesy, just really, really enjoyable performance. She does a whole tap dancing segment. And she also won for pop vocal.
She does like the Marilyn Monroe thing.
Exactly. So they played that up. They found that that's kind of like her aesthetic now. So she's running with it. That and like the whole kind of like on the nose innuendo stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, she won too. Really pumped for her. And Beyonce finally won Album of the Year, which she's never
Ugh.
won before. And some people might not like her music, but that's fine too. But it was a good event. I think they did a good job. That being said, I also watched something that
Wait, real
um,
quick.
yeah.
Sorry. Don't you think? I don't want to get too deep onto this, but don't you think it's a little wild that like Jay-Z was just like there, and like nobody had
100%.
a
That's why I didn't mention him. I think it's very
okay
weird
because
that he's
he's there.
there.
He's kissing her when she wins the award. I'm like,
He's up for lawsuits that he's done terrible things that with P. Diddy. So yes, I
people
100%
were
agree
up in
with you.
arms about Will Smith going back
Yeah.
to his seat and winning an award after smacking Chris Rock. This dude is allegedly, of course,
A terrible person. Yes.
in for way worse, and he's just there front row kissing Beyonce. Everyone's
Not
like,
only that,
Jay-Z's here.
he was at the Lion King premiere with his daughter, who does the voice of whatever. Like
he should
2
he
days
should lay
after the
low
lawsuit. Yeah, it was just
because
it felt like it was a smack in the face in a
yeah,
different way, in a very different way.
yeah. Also, I
Um,
just never liked Beyonce, and I when I sorry, but
and that's fine. That's fine. I agree. I didn't like that. My big moments were the Sabrina Carpenter and then Chapel
sure,
winning. I was
yeah.
really excited for them. Charlie XCX also gave a performance that was like right out of her kind of playbook of like a crazy club. They like shot underwear in the sky. It was wild.
And let's put a little more respect on one of the greatest songwriters of all time, Babyface.
Oh my God, the drama behind that. So yeah, for everybody that doesn't know and that isn't online, there was a ton of drama leading into the Grammys where you had two correspondents for the AP that were interviewing people on the red carpet. One of them was I want to give her credit. One of them was actively interviewing Babyface about his role in R&B and the upturn of women coming back to R&B in the past year. And then the other one just kept cutting in and like was ignoring what he was saying, ignoring the question, was talking over him, yelling for Chapel Roan. I'm sure Chapel had nothing to do with it. I just spoke about her earlier, but she was just behind him waiting for her turn. And the girl was like, Chapel, cuts. And he's like, do you want to do this? And they're like, yeah, sorry so much. And the other girl looks ashamed. She looked like she wanted to crawl under the red carpet.
Yeah.
And long story short, the other girl gave an apology later on in the live stream being like, I'm so sorry. There was just so much going on that I didn't know. She got fired. She closed all her social media. So I'm sure you will never see her again.
And maybe she made a mistake and you sort of feel bad for that, but
it was so
it's
rude.
just,
It was so blatantly
it
rude.
is
I
rude.
tweeted it too.
Very
It was
rude.
very, very rude.
People that you need to get if you're going to bring these people in, I don't know what her experience
media
was, but
training. Yeah.
you got to be a professional and you got to know exactly what you're supposed to be doing and what not to be doing. And it's that simple. But anyway, sorry. You what else were you watching?
We talk about it all the time about how it seems like more and more they're plucking these people from social media accounts or TikToks or whatever with no media training whatsoever. And they're asking Harrison Ford what popcorn bucket he would get. Like you're going to Harrison Ford and ask him about a popcorn bucket? Come on, guys.
Who's that woman? I felt bad for her because she was deer in headlights, but that woman interviewing Hugh Grant at whatever with the Oscars or Golden Globes or whatever it was that year, and she how like. And I love them for this. British people do not deal with fake like BS talk.
American questions.
Yes, they will. He was like,
it was last year's Oscars.
Yeah, she was like, "Who you wearing?" And he's like, "My suit." And she's like, "Who made that suit? You didn't make that suit." And he's like, "My tailor." I don't know.
They don't like banter. They don't.
She's like, "You were in Knives Out. How was that? Was that like amazing?" He's like, "Oh, I was only in it for 2 minutes." And she's like, "But still, like you're." And he's like, "Oh, kill me. She doesn't know anything about me." Like he's just like, "This is such BS."
Yeah.
I don't blame him for doing that. But anyway, sorry.
It's okay. That was last year. I remember that. It was there have been more cringe moments with red carpet interviewers than good ones. Anyway, the other thing I've been watching, which is a little bit of a plug for myself, only because I've been working on this project for a while now and it's finally coming out or is out, which is called First Word on Horror. It's a series that follows 5 of the largest horror fiction writers in the genre, including Stephen Graham Jones and Paul Tremblay. And the team I work with went and interviewed these people, and they gave original stories. And it has the sound design by the guy that did the sound design for the wood chipper and Fargo. Like,
Oh,
it's got these like intense, very crazy horror sounds. Stephen Graham Jones talks about Final Girl specifically, and talks about cutting Achilles heels and stuff, and there's a lot of
oh
crazy sound
man.
effects. But if you're a horror fan or just like fiction and want to hear about the writing process and the inspiration behind some of the greatest horror stories in the past few years, decades, etc., definitely check it out. It's on etch.substack.com.
Very cool.
I think.
Very
Hold on, let
cool.
me double check to make sure I'm giving the right address. It is etchstudio.substack.com. So, yeah, you can head over there and watch it. And it's streaming now. And it's something that I've been working on in my real life. But it's something that, surprisingly, how much I hated Bloodlines, Final Destination, this is something that I've actually very much enjoyed, just because you hear about the process of what these authors go through, what inspires them, what scares them, what
Mhm.
keeps them coming back to writing horror, because that's where I always kind of question people that love that genre, is like, why do you like it so much? And you get to hear those stories, which is really cool.
Very cool. Very
Mhm.
cool. I watched the new Netflix series American Manhunt O.J. Simpson.
Oh,
It is a 4-part series with, I'll say, some redundancies, because I remember I watched that case when I was in like middle school, and like I remember where I was when they announced the verdict. I was on the football field during recess, and they announced it all over the speakers. And I remember the chase happening, and they turned off
they
the
announced it
NBA
over the speakers?
at school. Yeah, they said the O.J. Simpson verdict is in. This took over the world. Like,
Wow.
so when he first evaded the
Wow.
police and he had the Bronco chase, they interrupted the NBA finals. It was like game 6 or something like that for the OJ chase. So this case, to like, people thought OJ Simpson was like this greatest guy, because his whole public persona was he was this nice, friendly guy. Everyone loved him. He got along with everybody. He's doing the movies, Naked Gun. He's on football. He's a Hall of Famer. Like, the image of OJ Simpson was that he was like this amazing guy. And that's why I remember being on the school bus and I heard, I think I was in like 6th grade, and I heard OJ Simpson got arrested. He might for killing his wife. I'm like, OJ Simpson? Like, and the irony of that is, like, in pop culture, James Cameron, there was a rumor that O.J. Simpson wanted to play the Terminator, and he said he's too nice of a guy to play the Terminator. And
Yes, yeah.
that's an old running gag. And then on Seinfeld, Elaine's trying to get her boyfriend to change her name, and because he has the same name as a serial killer, and she suggests he change his name to O.J. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
And then this all happens, but let me tell you, this is an incredible documentary, because they interview people from the defense side, they interview people from the prosecution side, but they also interview the detectives, including Mark Furman, who like ruined the case for them because he had said racist things before the case and they found out about it. I can get into the whole thing. It's 4 parts. It's about an hour each. I could watch it again. It was so good because you learn more, and I'll say this without revealing anything. The very end, gave chills throughout my whole body. And that's all I'm going to
Wow.
say. I was like, wow. It's very immersive. It really feels like you're like on his property with the cops. It's just like, what a case. And I remember watching the trial that summer and everything, and it just brought back all these memories from when I was a kid. Watch it. If you had any interest in that OJ case or any true crime in general, this is one of the biggest cases of all time. And the fact that he got off blows my mind and made me like distrust the justice system.
It
That
was
and
a
Casey
race
Anthony.
thing.
Well, yeah, they made it a race thing when it really
Yeah.
had nothing to do with that. But
Yeah.
that and the Casey Anthony trial were the 2 ones that I was like, what are we doing? But check it out. It is incredible. I recommend everybody watch it. So awesome. But yeah, I think I watched other stuff too, but I don't remember. But
None of it mattered.
Yeah. But that's it. That's the show. Thanks everybody for listening and watching and getting nerdy with us on this Monday. Like we said, we hope you had a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed Super Bowl if you partook. And we hope you have a great week. Make sure you do follow us at Nerdy and Nice Pod on social media. And make sure you subscribe to the show. Like Lacey said before, please leave us a review. But remember, Nerdy and Nice is on its own audio platform, but its video version is right on the TRB YouTube channel. So if it's the first time checking us out, thank you. Spread the word, tell your friends, and let's have some fun. A special shout out to the Patreon movie star generals and silver screen spice runners. The generals Carmelo, John RISI, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Danny, Mike Rumore, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Colin Cormier, Stephen Garrow, Sachi, and Darth Snips. And the Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shah, KENDALL, GELNER, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and THEFORTWORTHIAN. And however you support TRB, whether it's Nerdy and Nice, Resistance Broadcast, both, thank you all so much. We'll be back with you on Thursday with a brand new episode of the Resistance Broadcast. And for me, Johnny Hoey on Blue Sky, and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. Lacey, how about you?
People can find me on social media at Lacey Gilleran or on TikTok at It's Lacey Gilleran. And yeah, thanks for supporting us. And hopefully you enjoyed our rants tonight.
Yeah. Thank you all so much. We will see you next time. Have a great week. And from us here at Nerdy and Nice, I'll see you around, kids.